My husband's niece came onto him in our own home. Story time. So my husband has a niece called Amy, and she has had issues being attracted to family members before. Not long after me and Steve started to date, Amy came out and said that she had been having relationships with her cousin. And she admitted that she was the instigator in this relationship. She was also very unapologetic. But recently, Amy's been struggling to hold down a job, probably because she's a fucking weirdo. She texted Steve and asked if there was any odd jobs she could do around our house to earn some extra money. And she has been cleaning our house twice a week ever since. We had both felt really uncomfortable around Amy for some time, but we decided it was best to try and help her out. So everything was going absolutely fine until last Saturday. She shows up at our house in this tiny little bikini top and booty shorts. And that is not close to anything that she normally wears, so it was very out of character. But I thought maybe she's going to the lake or something with her friends afterwards, so I brushed it off. So I was in my office just getting on with some work when I heard my husband say, "What do you think you're doing?" Then I heard Amy say, "But I'm tired." That was when I heard Steve say, "There's a couch over there if you're tired, knock it off." Then a few seconds later, I heard Steve say, "I said get off," and then a big bang. I have never ran into my living room quicker. I saw Steve standing next to his recliner chair and Amy was sprawled on the floor. I asked what happened and Amy was like, "I was just playing." And then Steve screamed at her to get out of the house. And like a stroppy kid, she looked at us both and said, "Fine," and then stormed out the house. So after she left, Steve told me what happened. So he said that he'd been sat in his chair with a foot up on his recliner, and Amy had come in and like straddled his feet on the chair. And that is when he asked her what she was doing. Then she started to lean towards him and rub his legs. And then apparently she started to like wiggle her butt around. The big bang I heard was Steve pushing her onto the floor when he put the foot down of the chair. I was pissed. I really did not want to get into it with Amy because that girl thrives on drama. So I sent her pay for the week and texted her saying to never come back to my house ever again. But then last Tuesday she turned up at my house, which is her normal day to clean. I screamed at this girl's face saying, "What the hell are you doing?" And then I slammed it shut. She actually sent a text that apologised. Obviously I was not about to reply. But then I started getting texts from her parents. They were complaining that I was being too harsh. I'm getting texts from her parents, my mother-in-law. I did actually tell her parents the truth, but the mother-in-law will not back off. She keeps saying that she knows that she needs help, but I should be there to support her and give her money. So do you think I'm wrong here?
After midnight, we aren't allowed to go downstairs alone. The town I live in is nice enough. It's quiet, a little quaint. My dream has always been to move to the city when I get older. I want a life where things are busier, more exciting, more alive. Right now, I live at home with my parents and my twin sister. Both of my parents are underpaid teachers, so we live a modest life. We've never been spoiled and we've always been told to work hard for every dollar. Having gratitude for everything we have has been instilled in us since childhood. My parents must have worked really hard to save money throughout the years because the house that I lived in as a teen was pretty darn huge. Our tiny little town in general is relatively prestigious. So I do my part to extract wisdom from my parents whenever possible because they clearly know how to win at life. But of all of the things that my parents ask of me and my sister, the one rule they are most stern about is if you're going downstairs after midnight, you have to bring someone with you. Ever since we moved into this house, they would remind us of that rule every chance that they got. They would randomly bring it up at the dinner table or right before we're off to school. Sometimes if they heard footsteps in the hallway at night, they would get out of bed and walk with us to wherever we were going in the house. The strange thing about it was that me and my sister never really had anywhere to go downstairs at night. Anyways, our rooms, the living room, kitchen, and everything else pretty much was upstairs. Upstairs just had a game room and some storage that we might need to pull out from time to time. But overall, I couldn't really think of a scenario where we would need to go downstairs at night. My sister and I would ask my parents about it sometimes. Why do we have this rule? And what happens if we break it? They would usually deflect, change the subject, or tell us, "We'll tell you when you're older." As I got older and older, the fact that my whole family slept upstairs in a 2-story house became weirder and weirder to me. I was curious about what exactly was going on. So fresh off my 20th birthday, I decided to conjure up some kind of situation where I would absolutely have to go downstairs after 12 a.m. And this is where things start to get crazy. But last thing I told you is I was going to try to conjure up an idea that would have to get me to go downstairs after 12 a.m. As soon as it turned 12 a.m., I yelled to my mom, "Mom, I left my laptop in the game room and I have a paper due tomorrow." Lame excuse, I know. She was skeptical and pushed back a little bit, but finally she caved. We made our way down the small staircase and headed for the door that led to downstairs. But before my mother opened it, she turned to me. She said, "Okay, he's likely gonna latch onto me." What? "Make sure I don't open the door to the backyard and that I'm with you at all times, okay? You can pull me if you need to." I thought she was kidding. She opened the door. Our downstairs area has another small living room, a small kitchen, and a hallway that leads to the game area. I had accidentally left my laptop in the game area, so when we entered, I immediately turned toward the hallway. I thought my mom would follow me. Instead, I saw her just standing there. She was shivering and jittery. Her gaze was fixed on the window in the kitchen. It's a big window with the blinds usually pulled up, and it looks directly into our backyard. I looked at my mom confused, and she continued her uninterrupted stare. Slowly, she started walking towards the door to our backyard. I started to ask, "Mom, what are you?" And that's when I saw him. He was pressed against the window from the outside. His face was obscured by the darkness, but I could see his eyes. They were wide open, wider than eyes should go. My mom just continued to walk towards the door. I grabbed her as hard as I could and pulled her back, all the way back to the staircase that led upstairs. And then I closed the door behind us. It took my mom a minute to snap out of it. The last thing I told you is that I pulled my mom back up the stairs and shut the door. It took my mom a minute to snap out of it. But she kept staring at the door to the downstairs area and even walked slowly toward it and tried to go back down. When she finally pulled herself together, I'm like, "What was that? What was that?" And she goes, "Did you get your laptop, honey?" Did I get my laptop? Mom, what was outside the window? My mom's reaction was super weird. A mix of annoyance, concern, and fear. But she responded. Terrible things happen when we talk about them too much. But as long as we go downstairs in pairs, nothing too bad happens. No one's let him in yet. And that was that. I tried to ask her more, but she wasn't having it. At this point, she was just flat out ignoring me. I had no idea what to do. I wanted to tell my sister, who was generally super carefree. But part of me thought that would only freak the hell out of her. I tried to bug my dad about it, but he completely deflected. The most he ever said was, "We just wanted to give you and your sister a comfortable upbringing." What? What is that supposed to mean? It's been 2 years since me and my mom went downstairs together after midnight. Since then, we've continued to follow the rule, and so far we haven't run into any problems. I've tried to convince them into downsizing and moving somewhere else. They just say stuff like, "This isn't how that works, dear. And as long as we play it safe after midnight, we'll be okay." That brings me to why I'm saying this now. My parents have been gone for a week visiting family in another state. And my sister left this evening to have a sleepover with one of her friends. I'm home alone for the first time in forever. I don't usually have my phone on me, and it takes me like an hour or two at least to respond to text messages. Well, I just checked my phone and I have a text from my sister. Here's what it says. She sent this text message 2 hours ago. It's 10 minutes past midnight.
Yo, when the company tells you not to discuss your pay with anybody, they try to screw you over. Y'all, 3 years ago, I was looking for a full-time job. I had a part-time job after a little accident that happened, and I was like, I need some more money. So I'm gonna go back into my youth work. I was a social worker, case manager for many years, and I had kind of given it up because it's a lot of work. Working with homeless youth in a major city, it gets tiring sometimes. So I was like, I'm gonna go back to that type of work, and I applied for this job, and I got it. I got the job. They called me up on Thanksgiving, like a day before Thanksgiving, and they're like, "Yo, we want to offer you this job," and I was like, "Okay, how much?" And they only offered me I think it was $18 an hour, something like that, 17 or 18. I was like, okay, I'll take it. Of course, I did ask, too, is there any more opportunities for, higher pay? And no, this is already the highest in this range. Don't tell anybody about it. And I've worked in social services, so I was like, okay, the last job that I had only paid me 16 to work as a case manager. So I was like, 18 is something. So I get this little job, and it's going well, y'all. It's going well. My coworkers are fly. I love my coworkers. One of my bosses is this, really fly black man, and I love having a black male supervisor. I don't know what it is. I think it's I can look up to them, and especially if they're up in the field and they're doing the work, I'm just like, yeah, I want that. My supervisor above him is this amazing woman as well. She's also the woman that told me, not to tell anybody about my pay and stuff, so I was like, okay. While I'm working there, I'm realizing the work is a lot. I'm not only just, being a case manager, I'm also kind of running this housing program, and I'm like, this is a lot of work for $18 an hour. So I'm talking to my coworkers. I'm like, hey, y'all, why didn't any of y'all apply for it? And they're like, oh, we don't want that job, blah, 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 blah. It seems like more work. And I'm like, yeah, it is. And then they're like, and I was like, well, how much y'all get paid? I know I'm not supposed to ask y'all. And they're like, oh, yeah, we know that position's heavier, so we only get paid $19 an hour. I'm like, $19 an hour? They gave me 18 and told me not to tell y'all. I was irate, y'all. So immediately I went to my direct supervisor and I was like, can I talk to you for a minute? Because I'm about to quit this job. I ain't too proud. I will quit today. So I go and talk to him. He sits me down. He's like, let me explain something to you, Andrew. We knew when we interviewed you that you had the skills. I'm not even going to lie to you. Yep, we offered you a lower amount because the person that previously got paid a lot, and we knew that we couldn't afford to keep you at that salary, so we offered you 18. So, we sorry. Well, I went to his boss immediately, and I was like, Miss Ma'am, y'all really got me good. y'all got me good because I didn't talk about my pay for a couple weeks, and then y'all got me. And she's like, well, we can't pay you more. Do you want to keep this job or not? And I'm like, no, I don't. Goodbye. And I left. And I talked to my direct supervisor. I was like, listen, thank you for keeping it real. Here's this little Power Ranger star jar that I made. I'm like, I'm not too worried. I know my talent, my skills. I will find a job. Don't worry about me. He's still texting me here and there, making sure that I'm doing well. And I'm like, thank you for keeping an eye on me and checking in. Because I really do like him. He's got a family. He's just everything where I want to be in life. A couple years goes by. He texted me one night, really late at night, and was like, hey, how are you doing? And I was like, I'm going to keep it real. I'm like, why do you keep texting me? Then my boss, my straight boss, texted me, post me leaving the job, checking in on me. And y'all, if I'm ever up in my car posting a video, I'm about to go to the gym, about to get my little workout on, and I'm getting better at this. I'm about to post a part 2 in less than an hour. I'm getting better at this. So my boss is texting me, posting me leaving this job. He's texting me and he's just like, hey, how are you doing? He's commenting on my Facebook. He's adding me on Facebook and Instagram, which is fine. I'm totally fine because I'm thinking we friends. I'm thinking like, he my boss. He my man. He's like my father figure, like someone that I aspire to be. He got a wife and kids and he just a great black man and I love that. So he's texting me, and commenting on my Facebook and I'm leaving it here and there. But what time he leaves the comment on my Facebook photos, I'm shirtless in the photo, y'all. And he's like, you looking good. And I'm like, I don't know. He's always left a little comment here and there that was kind of like that. And I was like, I'm not going to say anything. I'm not going to say anything. But then he texted me one night and he's just like, how are you doing? I saw your photo. You looking good. And I'm like, I'm going to keep it real, sir. What's up with these texts? I'm like, are you feeling me? What's happening? And like, I'm waiting for a response. I see the little bubble ticking, little bubble, dot. And he's like, yes. I've been feeling you. I felt you since basically when you applied for the job and I interviewed you. He's like, there was something about you. I'm also like inspired by you, but like, I'm feeling you. And would you ever want to do something with me? And y'all, I can't lie. This man is cute. This man is really freaking cute. He adorable. Like in another life, y'all. But I ain't trying to ruin somebody's family. He got a wife and 2 kids. And I'm just like, sir, you got a wife and 2 kids. What we gonna do? Because I'm looking for the love of my life. My ex and I had broken up at the point. So I was like, but my ex didn't know at the time that we gonna end up back together. I was like, my ex and I gonna end up back together. And unless someone's gonna come into my life and kind of like put it down and kind of like put a ring on it, like I ain't trying to be in someone's like messy marriage, you know? So he's like, no, my wife, she knows, she's always known that I'm kind of into men here and there. And I'm like, yeah. But like, seriously, y'all, what? I'm like, at this point, this has happened a lot. This happened a couple times at this point. I'm like, why can't I never find a black man that just wants to be with me? Why he gotta have a wife? Why he gotta be straight? Straight-ish. So he's texting me. He's like off at his little feelings. He's like, how about I fly out there and come see you? I'm like, don't do that. He's like, how about you fly out here and come see me? I was like, ain't gonna do that. Because I'm a Virgo, y'all. My middle name is boundaries. Like if I could do anything, it's to set boundaries. If I can do anything, it's just like crush a dream. So I was like, no, I ain't flying out there to see you. You ain't flying out here to see me. But he's still an inspiration to me because I love the way he works. I love that he does have a life that I want at some point. So I'm like, know what, sir? You my boss, you my friend. I support who you are as a person, but not us being together ever. And this was about a year ago to today that this kind of all went down, but I haven't heard from him since. I hope he's doing well. But that's it.
You ever get a job by getting in a fight at the job? Well, that's how I got my job at Waffle House. A lot of people make a lot of jokes about how Waffle House is kind of like the brawl center where everybody battles. And I don't doubt it, because how I got my job as a chef at Waffle House is exactly what happened. I walked in one day. It was 2 o'clock in the morning. There was a girl server, there was a chef with a blunt in his ear, and there was another girl server. And one of the girl servers, she was just really stressed out. She was actively just having a bad day. Her boyfriend cheated on her. I learned everything about her life because I was asking questions. I needed to know what was going on. I was in here 15 minutes talking to these servers, chatting up, eating a singular waffle, and then having like an egg and cheese sandwich with bacon on it, having a great time. A ornery dude comes in. He's pissed. And he's just like, Samantha. I'm like, oh my God. That's her name. And he's just like, I told you ain't supposed to go to work today. I'm like, what? That was like insane because like he obviously didn't work there because everybody was like, dismissive. The chef, he looking back, he's like ready. He's like grabbing something. He's like got something in the back. He's like grabbing it. And I'm like, and I'm at the front part. He's right next to me just arguing and yelling. And, like, I can feel my heart begin to, like, race up a little bit. And he's just like, Samantha, let me tell you something. You ain't supposed to be here. You're supposed to be home watching my son. And he's just, like, yelling at her and stuff like that. And one of the other girls just like, you're not supposed to be here, Darren. You're supposed to be da-da-da. And he just grabs her face. And it's just like, I'm not talking to you. I'm like, What? The chef immediately goes into action. But before that happens, I grab my plate, boom, right in the dude's, little piece. He's like, obviously this is in GTA, guys. I want to point out this is in GTA, Twitch. Sorry, why I say Twitch? TikTok, this is in GTA. So, he falls back. He's like, whoa, whoa. And he's like leaking, essentially. So I'm just like, hey, man, I was trying to enjoy my meal. What's going on? And the chef, he lightens up. He jumps over the counter, and he just gets on the ground with dude and puts, starts choking him. He's just like, you, call the cops. I'm like, okay, I'll call the cops. So, I call the cops, 911. 911, where is your emergency? I just noticed, too, they always say, where is your emergency, as opposed to what is the emergency, because they need to send the people out just in case, something happens. So I'm like, I'm at Waffle House. Something's crazy going on. And it, within, 3 minutes, they're there. As soon as I say Waffle House, they just kind of knew. They pick up Darren, grab him up, and I get back to getting my food. I pay for the meal, give her a $15 tip upon I think my meal was $19. And the chef is just like, hey, we could use someone like you here. I'm like, what is this, the Marine Corps? What are you talking about? You could use someone here like me. He's like, you got some grit in you. It takes a lot to be a Waffle House employee. You want to work here? I'm like, how do I apply? He's like, don't worry about that. What? Don't worry about applying. He's like, don't worry about that. You want a job here? Yeah? You know how to cook? A little bit of a chef, a little bit of a Gordon Ramsay myself. I guess you can call me Chef Boyardee, something like that. He's like, all right, come here tomorrow, same time. Literally the next day, I started working. The next day. And it was just amazing. I learned the whole thing about Samantha. I learned about Chloe, who was the other girl. I learned about all of them so much. They always tried to get me to smoke. I didn't smoke. I still don't smoke. They always tried to get me to smoke in the back with them. It was really nice. I loved working at Waffle House, and that was a fun experience.
Hi, my name is Jamie Shea Cameron, and the other night I experienced what I believe to be a life-altering stroke. Nope, just turns out I took too much of a gummy. I grinned out. 7 p.m. on a Wednesday. I'm really sick. You can probably still hear it in my voice, so I had nothing to do. So I was like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna take a gummy. I'm gonna lay down in bed, watch the bear nestle up really tight to the point where I forget I have a body. Do you know what I mean? That's comfortable to me. Listen, I don't stray away from what I know when it comes to this kind of stuff. So if anybody asks, oh, was it a new pack? No, I had taken these before. No qualm, nothing wrong. No qualms, okay? But the week before I took one and it didn't really work. So this time I was like, I'll just take 2. And again, it was low stakes for me because I didn't have anything to do. So I was like, if it gets bad, I'll just be in bed. What's just rich and hilarious about that logic is any time in the past I've taken 2 of a gummy, it has never gone according to plan for me, but I will still try it with full confidence. And yes, I'm pretty sure according to Einstein, that's the definition of insanity. But according to me, that's the definition of having fun, okay? Trying things out, seeing what works, and knowing that, yeah, maybe this is self-sabotage, but I own that. I take nothing freaky. At first, I'm eating a salad. I feel what I would expect to feel, but the feeling keeps increasing to the point where I'm like, all right, this isn't fun anymore. So I go to lie down to calm myself down, and my vision goes blurry. When I close my eyes, everything is spinning. I feel like I have no balance, but that's impossible because I'm still, but I have no balance. I start to doze off because I figure the best solution is to just go to bed, but I was so dizzy that I couldn't, and also I realized I still had my makeup on, and I was like, that will not slide. I cannot go to sleep with my makeup on. And I figured it would be good if I took a shower maybe. Get in the shower, take my makeup off, rejuvenate, get some cold water on me. I've reached the point of manually breathing, and I want to tell my mom what's happening, but I also knew that she would be so mad. Not about me doing that, she knows, but just not taking care of myself. So I walk past her and she asks me, hey, are you okay? And I literally lost the ability to speak. I shit you not. So what I thought that would convey the message of I'm good, I got this, everything's fine. I went, you're not fooling anybody. At my best, and I'm in my most natural state, I'm an idiot. So I don't think she thought twice about that. She was just like, okay, you can imagine what this looked like, right? You have the inside scoop. I get in the shower thinking that it's gonna get better, and it got 10 times worse. I couldn't stand, I felt like I couldn't stand. As I was washing my face, I couldn't multitask, so I wasn't breathing. So then after that, because of the lack of oxygen, honestly, I don't really know what happened. I think I fainted because I just kind of started to fall over, and I held the ledge of the shower. I somehow turned it off, and then next thing I knew, I was sitting on the toilet, and my mom was like, what happened to you? And I was like, huh? And she was like, what happened to you? My face was just pale and my lips were blue. I told her what happened, so she got me Pedialyte, bread, everything was fine. I went to bed and I was okay, but just be safe, and also don't do that. Don't do what I did.
Yo, I've been attempted mugged 3 times in Minneapolis. 3 times. But the second time, I was like, Lord, why me? Why me? I'm gonna keep it real with you guys because look at me. I'm tiny. I'm petite. I'm a little guy. I'm 5'6" on a good day. 5'6" on a good day, so I know what that is. And second of all, I try to scare nobody. I try to scare no one. Minneapolis ain't all that bad. People gon' get, jumped and mugged. It happens sometimes. It happens sometimes. I ain't calling out a certain area or a certain city. It just happens. And I'm gonna say this if y'all are worried. Okay, don't be worried about me. The Lord has blessed me. He's blessed me with a mouth and some hands. Mr. Virginia's also blessed me with those things. So, I ain't never been worried. I'm not a scary person. My friends always just like, boy, you need to be doing what these muggers be asking you to stop fighting back. And I'm like, I can't help it. I got 0 flight in me. It's all fight. It must be my Aries moon, y'all. It must be my Aries moon. Alright, y'all, so this was my second time being attempted mugged. So like I said, this happened to me before, but this is my second time. And this is 2014. I was working at a movie theater, y'all, part-time. I've been working this job for a year or so at this point, but I wanted to get my own apartment. I was crashing on my friend Kyle's couch for the second time, and I was like, I need to get out of here, plus I need my own place. I'd found a roommate, found a cute apartment. I had a month in between, but I was trying to save up money, so I was eating nothing, y'all. I was eating barely nothing. I was eating 1 pack of ramen per day, a Diet Coke, and a scoop of peanut butter. That's it. I swear to you, that's it. So, at night I would go to the grocery store, get my little bag of food before the theater closed, because I'd be at the theater until midnight, 12:30 at night, closing up the theater. And I would bike to Kyle's, crash on his couch, wake up, go to work the next day, and do the same thing all over. So I went to the grocery store, got my little food, closed the theater. I'd go up to the little nice ride bikes, like the little station bikes in the city that you can use, and I'd bike to Kyle's. The nearest biking dock station was 2 blocks from his house, and it wasn't in the best neighborhood. Kyle was in Elliott Park. And it was the armpit of Minneapolis. So, and especially at 1 o'clock in the morning, it's just, you shouldn't be out, especially if you're this petite and little. So, I parked my little bike, I got my little Brahmin, my Diet Coke, and my peanut butter, got my little headphones in, I'm walking to Kyle's, and all of a sudden I hear something, and I feel kind of like a body near me. So I take out my headphones, and I look around, and there's this guy behind me, and he's like, give me your bag. I'm like, sir, not today, sir, not today. 'Cause this is all I got. I ain't got no money. This is my meal for that day and a half. And I'm like, sir, he may have been asking for my backpack 'cause I had my laptop on it, but I thought he was asking for the food. I was delusional. I was hungry, y'all. And like I said, I got no 0 flight in me. It's just all fight. So I went full Xeno Warrior Princess, y'all. I was like, well, smack him upside the head with the bag. It must have hit him just right because the Diet Coke and the peanut butter must have just been boop, right there. He hit the ground. I stepped over his little body. I was like, well, excuse me, sir. And I sort of ran to Kyle's. I'm knocking on Kyle's door. I'm like, girl, let me in before this man wakes up, before he gains consciousness. And my friend Kyle's like, boy, you need to stop. You need to stop trying to fight these people. I'm like, listen, sir, this is survival of the fittest at this point. Now, once this before I end the video, don't try to be a hood Power Ranger. Be safe, y'all. Be safe.
My student became my roommate and then my F-buddy, MF. This is my account of something that happened a few years ago. It's mostly true except for some of the dialogue that I had to reconstruct to the best of my memory, contrary to what everyone else on here claims. No one is remembering exact dialogue years later, haha. Right out of college I got a job teaching high school. I was 22 years old and teaching kids who were 14 to 18. It was a great job. I love teaching and I'm pretty good at it. But I was advised early on to be very wary with female students. The small age gap between me and my students, coupled with the fact that I was single, could spell danger. Overall, I was professional with all my students. I had to be in order to get them to take a younger teacher seriously. As a human male, I couldn't help but notice if a girl was conventionally pretty, but I made it a point to never let my thoughts drift any further than that. Long story short, I taught high school for a few years, but like many people, I got sick of the administration, the politics, and the stress. I left teaching to go back to grad school. I got my master's and then decided to start a PhD. To my surprise, in my first year of my PhD program, Jenny, one of my former students, started going to the same school doing a master's. When I started teaching, she was a junior, so I knew her for 2 years before she graduated. She always struck me as reserved, but opinionated and confident. We were in the same department and ended up having a couple classes together. It was strange for her to talk to me and not call me Mr. N, but she quickly got over that and became fairly friendly with each other. We would meet up for lunch every now and then and I'd advise her on what courses to take and how to apply for PhD programs. The program I was in places a ton of emphasis on language acquisition as a means to further your research abilities. It's basically an expectation that you'll spend a summer or even a year overseas fully immersing yourself in language. The summer after my first year in the PhD program I decided to spend a couple months in Seville, particularly because my university has a close relationship with the university there and costs for housing would be significantly cheaper. I arrived in Seville and after a bit of trouble figuring it all out, found where I'd be staying. It was a small dorm building, just 3 floors, with each floor having a common area with a bathroom and kitchen surrounded by 6 small bedrooms. Because it was summer, the entire building was vacant when I got there, which was a bit of a relief. It was nice to have some quiet solitude to relax in. Those who have done grad school understand the importance of de-stressing. After a week, though, I woke up to the sound of one of the university administrators in the common area. She must have been showing a new student the dorms. I got dressed and poked my head out of my room, and to my surprise, it was Jenny. The administrator was showing her and another woman I didn't recognize in the dorms. I jumped out to greet them, with Jenny apparently being as surprised as I was. Apparently she had plans to go to South America, but they fell through and she ended up in Seville as well. As much as I appreciated the solitude, a friendly face in a foreign land is always a welcome sight. I had to go out to one of the library archives that day, but when I came back in the late afternoon, I found Jenny and the other girl, Grace, sitting in the common area drinking tea. I sat with them and chatted a bit before the three of us decided to go out and get a late evening dinner. While we were walking, Jenny began to joke about the two of them ruining the privacy I had for the previous week. "I guess you have to stop bringing women back to the dorm room every night now that you're not alone," she said with a teasing smile. That joke caught me off guard. Although we'd gotten to be pretty good friends over the course of the past year, our conversations never veered away from academia and research. "Yeah, you know me, a different girl every night," I joked back. Again, for those who have done grad school, you understand how the vast majority of us spend more time with books than we do with intimate partners. She didn't say anything else about it, but her broaching the topic stayed in my mind for a bit. I hadn't met anyone and certainly hadn't brought anyone back to the dorm in the week I've been here, but I had masturbated in the privacy of my room, and now I just have to be a bit more discreet about it. After the three of us ate and spent some time walking around the city center, we headed back to the dorm building. I changed into my pajama pants and undershirt to sleep in and headed out of my room to use the bathroom. Grace's door was closed, but Jenny was in the kitchen filling up a cup of water. She was wearing short cotton shorts and a tank top. To be honest, I'd never really thought of her sexually, but the sight in front of me was not unwelcome. I think she must have noticed my eyes wandering just a bit because she caught my eye and we both shared an awkward smile as I scooted past her on the way to the bathroom. The next morning I woke up to a message on the new group chat the three of us had made the night before to ease communication. Grace messaged to let us know that she headed out early to meet a friend of hers who lived nearby. I groggily rolled out of bed and went to the bathroom. By the time I was out, I saw Jenny in the kitchen making some coffee. She offered to make me some and I gladly accepted. We sat across from each other in the common area as we chatted. She was in the same tank top and shorts from last night, with her hair up in a ponytail. "So what are your plans for today?" she asked. "Well, I was going to bring a ton of women back to the dorm like I've been doing daily, but now that you guys are here, that's off the table," I replied sarcastically. She laughed heartily. "I know you're joking, but I also wouldn't even be surprised." I laughed it off and ignored what she was implying. Maybe being away from school and home was causing her to be more carefree. I didn't mind, it was just a new side of her I wasn't used to. Over the next few days we settled into routines. We usually all met up for dinner and hung out until late at night. Mornings start late in Spain, which was a nice change. One morning I woke up and, to be frank, was atrony. I hadn't masturbated since the girls had shown up. Although I locked my room door, I still felt uncomfortable with them being so close. But this morning I just had that undeniable urge. I started to touch myself, with cliché fantasies running through my head. But halfway through, I started to hear a faint sound. A light buzzing. I thought maybe it was something like an air conditioner, but that wasn't the sound the AC in this building makes. It took me a second, but I realized the sound was coming from directly on the other side of the wall. Jenny's room. I realized. She must be using a vibrator. She must not realize that the sound of it could barely be heard through the wall. I was simultaneously surprised and turned on. It didn't take me long to finish myself off and I grabbed a towel to clean myself up. I got up and ran over to the shower while making sure the common area was empty. By the time I came out of the bathroom, I saw Jenny was now in the common area drinking coffee on the couch. "Hey, good morning, how's it going?" she asked. I was having trouble looking her in the eye, knowing what I heard earlier. "I'm alright. Are you having a good morning?" "Yup," she responded perkily. I don't know what got into me at this point. What I said next was so out of character for me that I'm still shocked I ever said it. "Yeah, I heard." I was standing in the doorway of my room and waited just long enough to close the door to see the look of understanding dawn on her face. I was freaked out that I had been inappropriate or creepy, so I waited in my room until I could tell she had left for the day. Part of me was proud for being bold in response to the teasing she had doled out earlier, and part of me was worried I was being a creepy older man. Later that evening the three of us met up for dinner again at a small restaurant down the street. There was a guitarist playing outside and the sound of his music filled the street. "I love the sound of Spanish guitar," Jenny said. "I'm sure you'd still be able to hear from the dorm, especially with how thin the walls apparently are," Grace replied with a smirk. Jenny shot her an embarrassed look and slapped her shoulder. Okay, apparently she had told Grace about what happened this morning. Grace simply laughed at her. "Oh, relax, it's normal." She turned to me. "If you ever hear any sounds from my room, just do your best to ignore it." Jenny and I broke out into laughter. Grace was more outgoing than either of us are, so it was nice to have someone break the ice and ease the tension I was worried about. When we got back to the dorms, it was late and we each headed straight to our rooms. I laid in bed, unable to sleep. I was undeniably turned on. I can't pretend like the two women I was sharing this space with weren't both SI. Although I had taken care of myself earlier in the day, I felt the urge again and began to touch myself. A few minutes later, I got a ding on my phone. It was Grace on the group chat. "Whichever of you is having some special time right now, please keep it down." Holy poop.